name is Beth and I work at the Academic Support Center. That's a mouthful, so we say the ASC. The ASC is in the lower level of the library. And you're like, well, Beth, what does the ASC do? Right? We like to work with students. Our primary focus is on students. So these are a bunch of our student leaders and people who work in our office, but we serve the undergraduate student population as well as some graduate student populations. Today I'm going to walk through all of our programs. This seems like a lot. Don't worry, I won't put you to sleep. I talk too loud anyway, and I move that, right? But we work with students from the time that they start on campus until they graduate. So you'll see us, or hopefully we'll see you, several times throughout your undergraduate career. You'll start with new student programs. Every student starts with new student programs, right? It's new student orientation, and whether that is virtual, like we're doing this year, or in person, which we hope to do next year, students have to come to a new student orientation session in order to register for their classes, but also to get some of the things that they need knocked out before they start school done. So that can include like getting your email, making sure that you can get into the system, making sure that you figure out how you're going to pay your bill, right? All those things that you worry about right before you get to college. That's what we do during new student orientation. Then we have what's called Welcome Weekend, and this year it's virtual. Next year will be both in person and virtual, because there's sometimes that you just can't attend everything in a Welcome Weekend, so we offer it also throughout the semester. And those are specific to services we offer on campus, and then also some things to think about as a new student. How to get involved, your wellness, things to consider as far as budgeting, right? Don't go buy the 53-inch television that's a smart TV so you can just click one button and watch Hulu. Maybe you need that to pay your bill, right? So we put all of those things into Welcome Weekend, the things that you need to know as a student. So it's not so overwhelming when you're just trying to figure out what classes you need to take. We break those up. We also have a lot of student leadership opportunities for students to participate in those programs. Then, as a first-year student, you're going to participate in the first-year experience, or FYE. On our campus, we do that as a learning community. So we have our first-year seminar, which is 2 or 3 credits, and then we pair that with 1 or 2 other courses, and then those kind of sit under a theme for that semester. So I teach a first-year learning community both in the fall and the spring, and what I teach is the freshman seminar, and my topic is sports psychology. Prior to coming to Minot State, I worked at the University of Utah, and I did a lot of sports psychology there, and I still love it. I think it's fantastic. And so I teach sports psychology. I actually taught Sal's brother. He was fantastic. That's how I met Sal, actually, before he started working here. Super fun. In those FYE learning communities, we talk about transition issues. So not only like, hey, this is how you might study for a test, but here's what the expectations are for papers. Here's what the expectations are for discussions. Here's what the expectation is for engagement. Here's what you should be doing as a student in order to be successful and have a good experience as a student. And that FYE is not just about that academic going to class and then going home, right? It's that whole package. How do you become an engaged student and make the most out of each experience? Within each FYE, there's a peer mentor. So it's either a sophomore, junior, or senior, and they sit in the class. They do activities with you. They work with that co-instructor. You can ask them questions. A lot of times students don't want to ask me a specific question, so they'll like email my peer mentor and say, hey, Emma, Beth made no sense yesterday in class. Can you tell her to go over that concept again? And then Emma will be like, Beth, you went and started talking gibberish and they don't understand you. So please reaffirm what you said. And I'll be like, great, right? They also help with trying to get you involved. So that peer mentor is a really nice aspect. Also, what we incorporate into every FYE is experiential learning at some level. So we want to make sure that you're doing, not just sitting in a classroom, that getting up, using skills, figuring things out is really important, starting as a first-year student. We also house our peer tutoring within the Academic Support Center. Peer tutoring is paid for by everyone's student fees. You don't get that waived ever, so we say utilize it, right? It's a drop-in model. You can go drop into the Academic Support Center typically, right? And sit down at a table, get tutoring, either one-on-one or one-on-two with maybe another group member. This year we're doing it through the platform called Teams. You guys probably have heard about Teams or seen it on, the different Microsoft ads. That's a really nice way to do it as well, because you can share your screen and there's a whiteboard and you can ask a lot of questions and they help you answer that. You can go and sit and do your homework and ask questions as they come up. If you just are trying to review for a test, you can go that day. It doesn't matter. You can use it as often or as little as you want. We prefer more often than little, but it's paid by your student fees, so make sure you utilize it, right? Some of those common courses: math, chemistry, biology, psychology, even communication sciences and disorders. And people always go, what, really? Yep. If you're planning to go to grad school and you need to have a high GPA, we want you to come to tutoring. If you're struggling in a class and you need more information, we want you to come to tutoring. It's not just if you're struggling. We want to be able to help you get those successful grades and learn that material, and so tutoring is for everyone. Come early and come often. We also have career services within our area, and career services spans from the time that you are a first-year student all the way through the time that you graduate. A lot of times people think, oh, I'll go to career services when I'm a senior. Yes, do that. But you should also go when you're a freshman. And the reason why is we want you to start job shadowing. We want you to start thinking about resume building. We want you to think about how you're going to interview. And all of those things are like building blocks to the time that you graduate. We want you to job shadow and figure out, like, do I want to do this or do I want to do that? Even if you kind of know what you want to do, right? You still might have an area that you think, oh, this is really cool, or, oh, I don't want to do that, right? I oftentimes think of teachers, people who want to be teachers, right? And I had one leader before, I forgot to tell the story before, so but had a student orientation leader who was like, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm like, awesome, you're going to be a great teacher. What do you want to teach? I want to teach kindergarten. And I was like, good for you, because I don't know if I can do that, right? They went and shadowed a kindergarten teacher, and they came back, they're like, Beth, I'm going to be a middle school teacher now, because I don't want to wipe somebody's nose. And I'm like, well, as a kindergarten teacher, you have to do that. They still wanted to be a teacher, but they figured out, like, oh, I don't want to be a kindergarten teacher. That can happen with accounting. It can happen with biology. Maybe you want to be a research scientist versus teaching biology. There's a lot of different options, and this is the time to figure it out, right? Where you have resources to help you go into those different areas and connect with different people. We also really encourage that every step of the way. Every other university, every other place in the United States, students are encouraged to do that. That gives you an opportunity to work on your soft skills that might not be taught in every single class, but is needed in the job market. So really encourage that participation throughout your career. We also do mock interviews, so even if you want to go get a job as, I don't know, a retail salesperson, but you haven't ever interviewed before, we can help you with that. Or if it's more specific, right, as you go out to job fairs and different types of interviews as a senior, you're going to want to make sure that you have some information in your back pocket or tools in your toolkit so that you can go and be successful in that interview. We can help you with that. We also have access services under our umbrella, and that is specific to providing student accommodations for those who have disabilities. That can be a health issue, it can be a disability that you've had all your life. It could be something that just now you're like, ooh, I think I have anxiety, like really bad anxiety, and I need help with trying to figure out how to take a test. Maybe you need a quiet room, right? Maybe you need an extra 20 minutes, whatever it might be. Going to see access services and talking about what you might be feeling, and if you had an IEP or 504 in high school, access services can help you get those accommodations that you need that levels that playing field for you. Like I said, student engagement is really important. It's really important not only as a student, but also when you go out, like I said, an interview. You want to be able to go to interviews and say, I've done this, and I've been able to do this, and I was part of this activity. All of those things are telling your future employer, I can work with people, I can analyze things, I can critically think, I know how to communicate. And if you just go to class and sit in class, and then you go home and you study at home and you don't get engaged in different activities, then you're not going to help build those different skills. And those activities don't necessarily have to be related to classroom work, right? It can be going and participating in a club or organization. It can be helping run a student activity, or even just participating in student activities, learning how to have conversations with people outside of that media craze that we most often do, right? When was the last time that you actually picked up a phone and called your friend? Probably or texted them, right? So working on all of those different skills so that when you get to the workforce, those things are reinforced and you're ready to go. Student engagement, really, really important. We also reward people for doing that. So we have an engagement honor roll where if you complete 50 hours on campus or off of engagement activities, it goes on your transcript, which again, grad school, very important. If you're looking at a competitive job, they're going to look at your transcript and go, tell me about this engagement honor roll, because it's not going to be common to other areas or other universities, and so it really makes you stand out. We also employ a lot of student leaders, so peer tutors. Again, they're leaders. They do training. They help lead people in understanding material. We have our peer mentors. We also hire orientation leaders throughout the course of the year. All of those leadership opportunities are ways to get involved. We also house our POWER program, which is a TRIO program. TRIO is a federally funded program to help students who are first generation or people with disabilities. So we have 2 different TRIO programs on our campus, and they help provide extra services. So extra tutoring, extra mentoring. If you need materials for a class, they can help you with that. They also give you an extra advisor on campus to help walk through or help work through any type of problems that you might encounter as a student or hurdles that you need to jump over. So great programs if you meet those qualifications. And then we also have academic advising. Academic advising is when you go and talk to someone about career, about classes you need to take, about things that are happening with your life, about things that you can do to get involved. So if you're interested in going to med school or PT school or grad school in any area, like getting involved with research, getting involved with other types of programming on campus is really, really important. So that academic advisor can help. Also, we advise undeclared majors. So we were saying 82% of people change their major. I changed mine 3 times.
I changed mine 3 times.
And your ambassadors that were walking around with you today, I'm sure that they changed their majors. It's very common. And so we want to make sure that we give you opportunities to explore different things, figure out what you want to do. We also have what's called our general studies major. So if you're like, hey, I want to be an art therapy person, right? We don't have a specific major in art therapy, but we can put together a major, a specialized major, to help you get to that point. So that's what that general studies does. We also advise the nursing students and kinesiology students within our center. We also house our writing center, which helps with grammar, punctuation, and formatting. So it's like tutoring, but for writing, right? And that, I think, is one of the most important areas you can utilize as a student, and that will actually help you really be successful. Writing is a whole different beast when you get to college. Everyone's like, oh, I'm a good writer. And then they get to college and they're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I learn this? And I'm like, this is how it is. You have to write a lot in order to get better. So our writing center is there to help you. They do both virtual and in person. They always have. And so you can either send in your paper or you can meet someone face-to-face in the writing center to help you with getting that paper written. They don't do fact checking. So if you're writing about civil rights movement, they're not going to say, oh, this fact is wrong or this year is wrong. But they'll say, oh, you wrote it in APA and it should be in MLA. They're going to help you with that. All right, so we wake you up. If you've ever had, or you ever attended a session with Dr. Terry Beckman. She's our kinesiology person. She always talks about they have to move. So everyone is going to stand up. We're going to start standing. And you have this right or ridiculous card. So on one side it says right, one side it says ridiculous. And you're going to point whatever side you choose as the right answer. You're going to point it this way. Don't try to cheat off Sal. He was trying to let people know. Okay?
Maybe it's not more.
Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. All right, so if you get the answer right, then you remain standing. If you get the answer wrong, you're going to sit down. If you're the last one standing, you get a prize. Yay! Who's excited about that? Some are excited. Let's begin. All right. You're either going to be right or you will be ridiculous. Okay, first one. There are more first-year experience learning communities in the fall. Right or ridiculous? Right or ridiculous? That one more. She's contemplating. Ready? That is right. So most of our student population comes in the fall, right? So we're going to have those FYE learning communities in the fall because that helps with your transition, right? That helps you figure out how to navigate college. All right. Minot State currently has 4 power/trio programs. Right or ridiculous? Go with your gut. Go with your gut. That is ridiculous. We have 2. So we have one that's a regular trio program for low SES or for first generation college students. And then we have one for people with disability. Peer tutoring charges each student by the number of hours they attend tutoring. Right or ridiculous? Everyone's looking at everybody else's. But you guys are all ridiculous. Okay. You're right and ridiculous.
Some.
Yeah, for sure. All right, each FYE has its own peer mentor. Right or ridiculous? Locked in. Yeah, you guys are right. Every FYE does have its own peer mentor. You can get help with writing a paper, both in person and virtually. Those are your options. You guys work. Yay, that's right. All right, if you don't have a declared major, then you can't meet with an advisor. That's right. You guys, it's ridiculous. Of course you can meet with an advisor. We want you to meet with an advisor. For Welcome Weekend, you can attend virtual sessions to learn about services offered at Minot State. So they're good. They're
That's
all
really good.
They're
They've been on the tour too, so.
Okay, here's the tiebreaker. How many students typically attend new student orientation from April to August? So you're going to write on the sticky note how many you think attend new student orientation from April to August each year. Okay, so you have 2 of the same answer, and those 2 are actually the closest.
All day.
All day. The closest all day. 874 people. So that includes transfer students, first-year students, and online students. So Abigail, you get to come to the prize. And then whoever else wrote 800 but didn't put their name on it.
Jeez.
Yay!